365 Days of Love and Miracles with A Course in Miracles. My name is Harley Mears, and I am so glad that you are here. Please remember to listen right until the very end, because we have a special treat for you. And if you enjoyed today's video, please click like and subscribe down below, because this helps others to find us on YouTube. Today's lesson is lesson number 347. This is our 7th lesson in the section, What is a Miracle? We are asked to read that section before we read today's lesson. So let's do that now. A miracle is a correction. It does not create nor really change at all. It merely looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it sees is false. It undoes error, but does not attempt to go beyond perception, nor exceed the function of forgiveness. Thus, it stays within time's limits, yet it paves the way for the return of timelessness and love's awakening, for fear must slip away under the gentle remedy it brings. A miracle contains the gift of grace, for it is given and received as one. And thus it illustrates the law of truth the world does not obey, because it fails entirely to understand its ways. A miracle inverts perception, which was upside down before, and thus it ends the strange distortions that were manifest. Now is perception open to the truth. Now is forgiveness seen as justified. Forgiveness is the home of miracles. The eyes of Christ deliver them to all they look upon in mercy and in love. Perception stands corrected in his sight. What was meant to curse has come to bless. Each lily of forgiveness offers all the world the silent miracle of love, and each is laid before the Word of God upon the universal altar to Creator and creation in the light of perfect purity and endless joy. The miracle is taken first on faith, because to ask for it implies the mind has been made ready to conceive of what it cannot see and does not understand. Yet faith will bring its witness to show that what it rested on is really there. And thus the miracle will justify your faith in it and show it rested on a world more real than what you saw before, a world redeemed from what you thought was there. Miracles fall like drops of healing rain from heaven on a dry and dusty world where starved and thirsty creatures come to die. Now they have water. Now the world is green, and everywhere the signs of life spring up to show that what is born can never die, for what has life has immortality. Let's talk about it. Can you feel the drops of healing rain falling on you, my friends? These are God's miracles of love. Remember, a miracle is a change of perception from seeing through the eyes of fear to seeing through the eyes of love. This miracle falls on us like drops of healing rain from heaven above. Let's open our hearts and our minds to God's miracles today. Let us remind ourselves any time that we're caught up with the thinking of the ego to come home to God and to see through God's eyes of love. Let's read lesson 347. Anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself to keep the miracle away from me. Let's talk about it. Is there anyone here who has not experienced the emotion of anger? Anger is actually a secondary emotion, and the root is fear. Fear is always the beginning of all the emotions that we feel from the ego. Fear that we are going to get something that we do not want, or fear that we are going to get something that we do not want. Before I discovered a spiritual path, anger was a driving emotion for me. I would get angry at the smallest thing, and I used that anger to try and control the world around me. That was a lesson that I learned from my father, and I shared that unfortunate lesson with my own children. If I could do my life over again, that is the one thing that I would change for sure. I've thought so many times about how love would have changed things. When I thought my children were off track, instead of punishing them, instead of using anger, I would just shower them with love. I would tell them that they were safe with me, that my love for them would never die. Love is the only healing balm. Anger separates, only love heals. Now let's talk about judgment. If I do not judge, then I'm not going to have anger. If I judge that you are doing something that I do not like, that's a setup for anger. So when I am aware of that, I can watch my tendency to judge. Here's the real secret. When I'm at peace with myself, when I'm not judging myself, then I tend to be more accepting of you and not go into judgment towards anyone or anything. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I'm in that Zen place of accepting everything as being perfect right here, right now. The world is unfolding as it should. I do not need to go into judgment about myself or about anyone or anything. So let's be especially aware of our tendency to judge ourselves and others today, my friends. Let's remember that judgment is a weapon that the ego uses to keep the miracle of accepting that we are one with God and all of creation. If you would like to close your eyes, I'll read today's prayer. Father, I want what goes against my will and do not want what it is my will to have. Straighten my mind, my Father. It is sick, but you have offered freedom, and I choose to claim your gift today. And so I give all judgment to the one you gave to me to judge for me. He sees what I behold, and yet he knows the truth. He looks on pain, and yet he understands it is not real. And in his understanding, it is healed. He gives the miracles my dreams would hide from my awareness. Let him judge today. I do not know my will, but he is sure it is your own. And he will speak for me and call your miracles to come to me. Let's talk about it. We have learned in earlier lessons that our will, being that we truly want God's love, joy, peace, and happiness, often is not even recognized when we're caught up in the world of the ego. Thus, we go against our will. We try to fill our lives with all of the activity of the day. We fill up our minds with our long to-do list. We get caught up in the past or worried about the future. We're not living in the moment. When we're doing this, we are going against our own will. We can only be living within our own will when we accept that our will is the same as God's. Our will is for perfect peace, joy, and happiness. We ask for God to straighten up our mind. In order to figure out what the solution is, we have to fully understand the problem. Here it tells us that the problem is that our minds are sick. I have no problem accepting that. I learned a long time ago that when I am caught up in the thinking of the ego, I am truly insane. Do you have any trouble seeing that in yourselves, my friends? If you do, I encourage you to take a closer look. When life isn't working, we simply stop and say to ourselves, my thinking has gotten me into this mess. God's thinking is going to get me out of it. Let's choose God's gifts of freedom today. Let us recognize when we're caught up in the thinking of the ego and come back to the truth of who we are as God's beautiful, beloved children. Let's recognize when we're judging ourselves or judging others. When I catch myself at this, I simply say to God, God, I give you my judgment. Please take it away and help me see myself and others through your eyes of love. God always answers this prayer, my friends. He always takes this away. An additional prayer that I love to use is, God, help me be grateful for this person in my life. Help me to see the gifts that they are bringing to me. When I do this, I recognize that that person that I am judging is really part of me. And what I'm seeing in them is a reflection of what is going on inside of myself. Whatever that is inside of me is being brought to the surface for healing. I want it to be healed. And when I realize that, then I am able to be grateful. I'm able to see that other person as a messenger of God's love, bringing this to my attention so that it can be healed. Only God can heal this, my friends. God is going to bring us the miracles that our dreams of the illusion of what somebody else has done or said is causing me pain. It is not true. It's the lie of the ego. When we see that it is an illusion, we can let our judgments go. When we let our judgments go, then we are open to the miracles that God is bringing to us. Let's finish today's reading. Listen today Be very still and hear the gentle voice for God assuring you that he has judged you as the son he loves. I love this closing piece. It reminds us to let go of all of the judgment that we have against ourselves. It tells us to listen, get very quiet in our meditation, be very still, go deep, deep within ourselves, past the clouds of doubt and worry, past all of the thoughts, that tell us that we don't belong, we're not worthy, God doesn't love us. We go past all of that to that place deep within where God's love abides. Be very still and hear the gentle voice for God assuring you that he has only judged you as his beautiful, beloved child. He loves us, my friends. He holds us in the palm of his hand. He will never let us go. He has only judged us with love. He only sees us as perfect, beautiful, unblemished. We are perfect in his sight. We are his beloved. Let's accept that love today and always. For our practice periods today, first thing in the morning, last thing before we go to sleep, we are asked to read or listen to today's lesson and then sit quietly in our meditation for a minimum of 5 minutes. The more we do our meditation, the more we hunger to feel that God only judges us as his beautiful, beloved child. For our shorter practice periods, on the hour, often in between, and especially when we are upset for any reason at all, we simply state today's idea. Anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself to keep the miracle away from me. And then we take a minute or two as we allow this idea to settle deep within ourselves. Thanks so much for listening right until the end, my friends. If you enjoyed today's video, please share the love. Tell someone about this video. Encourage them to start at lesson 1 and only do 1 lesson a day. Are you ready for our special treat? Here we are at St. Peter's Square.
Absolutely incredible. What a great experience. This is where the Pope comes twice a week.
Anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself to keep the miracle away from me. Have a day free of judgment of yourself and others, my friends. I love you.